In 1789, Joseph II granted a permit that said a paper mill could be built in Leinsitztal in Waldviertel. Paper is still made here to this day.
You start with the material, the so-called interwoven cotton. Back when papermaking here began, it was gathered in the form of clothing from the local population and transported to the mill.
Today, it isn't quite as easy as it was back then to get suitable material. Because the fabric has to be made of pure cotton, no synthetic fibers added. In a first step, the fabric gets torn into rough strips.
The double seam is cut with a pair of scissors and put aside. From there, the material goes to the rag chopper.
This machine works like a giant motor-powered pair of scissors. In the course of 2 to 3 cycles, the strips, the so-called rags, are cut into little pieces. "30 kilograms of those pieces are put into a granite tub, which is filled with 1,000 liters of water. This is the so-called Hollander beater. This paper beater contains a hydro-powered roll which is equipped with cutting knives. With an inherent pressure of 600 kilograms, it shreds the cotton pieces and extracts the fibers that are needed for the paper making. Only pure cotton fibers that have been interwoven before are suitable for this. The continuous turning of the fibre-water mixture produces the so-called pulp.
The cotton pieces are ground and shredded for about 40 hours. The pulp is taken from the paper beater with a little wooden bucket, which is quite similar to the bucket used in saunas nowadays. So with that, the pulp is being put directly into the paper-making tub.
In the paper-making tub, the pulp is watered down and laced with glue, which serves as a binder. Then, the actual paper-making can be performed.
For this, the paper-making mesh, which consists of a wooden frame, is essential. Sheet by sheet is produced like this and put onto the felt. This process is called couching. It is possible to create different formats with this.
The mix in proportion of pulp and water determines the grammage of the paper. The weight of a sheet, which is the size of 1 meter times 1 meter.
If you want to get writing paper, you'll need a grammage of 70 to 90 grams. From 180 up to above 200 grams, the paper will be used as watercolor paper by artists. During the course of paper making, you will realize that one particular sheet of paper will probably be too heavy for the favored grammage. Then some of the pulp goes back into the paper making tub, or you add more pulp into the paper making mesh if you want to produce a higher grammage. It takes a lot of experience in order to get the right result.
Because each sheet is made separately, there are no cutting edges. The edge remains frayed, which is characteristic for handmade paper.
If you don't get distracted, the paper maker will be able to produce about 25 sheets of writing paper an hour.
If desired, a watermark can be added to each sheet. For this, meshes are needed that have the respective mark incorporated with the help of wire. From business cards to sheets in A1 format, paper can be made in all imaginable sizes. Particular meshes are needed for particular formats. After a so-called ream of paper has been made, that means about 25 sheets, it goes to be pressed.
Most of the water, about 80%, is squeezed from the sheets, which are then hung up in the drying room.
But before that, the paper needs to be separated from the fleet again. Then, the damp sheets have to be accurately put on top of each other. In the drying room, several sheets are finely hung up in stacks, like laundry on the drying rack. They need about 8 to 10 days to dry in a slow process. After that, all the sheets are checked for mistakes in the workshop before they can be sold. Siegfried Merzinger learned the trade of papermaking from his father, who bought the mill in 1960. He and his wife Margareta make about 300 kilograms of paper a year. Paper in the form of bookmarks, business and greeting cards, or watercolor paper is meant for eternity. What is written on them will remain here for at least 400 years.